right now, our goal is to help them explore careers. Our goal is to help them determine what they want to do. It's to bridge that transition from school to work. So discovery process at this stage is a natural idea because that's what we're doing anyway. Looking for traditional employment after they exit school by giving them the work skills that they need to get there. We can take that a step further and look at the customized employment options, self-employment, micro-enterprise, resource ownership, those things as the end result or the end goal of what we're trying to reach because we have that time.
I see customized employment as something that's going to be needed, but that's going to require so much more time. So, I just hope that I have the amount of time that is needed to do a good quality, give the person a good quality service.
Well, customized employment, I think for me personally was a kind of an attribute of being able to take the philosophy that any individual with their skill set and the talents that they have, and or more importantly the desire, can have more opportunity to do what they would ultimately like to do. So within this process of customized employment through the Riffin-Hammis project here at RSC, the ability to discover, taking them through a process of discovery and job development from the discovery to discover what the person's abilities are, their talents, their desires, their wants and needs, discovering maybe some of the conditions that they might need to have for a given type of an employment opportunity or self-employment opportunity, just gave us the opportunity to really know that individual as a whole person.
Well, the resource ownership, what that is an individual brings something to the business. Sometimes it may be a piece of equipment that will assist the individual in doing their job better or easier. Oftentimes it helps the business. Maybe they are in need of that equipment. I think customized employment won't be difficult to sustain because I believe that the outcomes and the consumer satisfaction, it'll speak for itself because I think consumers are getting jobs that are their passion, really what they're interested in versus trying to find an entry-level job with individuals that don't really care about them and aren't invested in their employability or their skills or their interests or even the accommodations that they may need. Customized employment was a new concept for our agency. We've been doing job development for many years. This concept was just different in a lot of respects, not only working with the consumers and identifying more their interests, their skills, their talents, but also the intense interactions with their family members, identifying their social capital within our agency, but more importantly within the consumers. With each consumer, we would sit down and talk with the consumers initially about individuals that they know, whether that would be neighbors, pastors, volunteer coordinators, family members. We would start with that. The next step would be to talk with family members about who they know, because oftentimes our consumers aren't aware of all the people their family members are connected to in the community. Past that point, of course, we extend that out into our agency and with our RSC counselors, who they know that may be able to assist us. And then we would take it to our community action team, which is a group of individuals, business owners, some social service entities, and we would discuss who they know and how we can leverage that to benefit the consumer.
Anyway, sorry, that's my soapbox. She took a picture of it and sent it to me. It was wonderful. A little perspective was off, but it didn't matter because it didn't look like some little kid did it. It was a good copy, and it didn't look like an artist is copying another artist. It was just something very pleasant to look at. And I thought, wow, he does that on his own all the time. What would customized employment have done for him? I don't know. It took him 3 weeks in traditional facility-based assessment to learn how to wash dishes, even though that had been his experience for 20 years, apparently. But now he's happy. We just so happened to find the right company. They love him. They put up with whatever idiosyncrasies he had that required a little intervention at first. So he's happy. Traditional worked for him, but it was a long, arduous course.
Customized employment, I can say without a doubt, in my 18 years with the state vocational rehabilitation, it has made me a much better counselor. The services that I provide to my consumers as a result of the training that I've received and then in the extra time I've taken to learn more about customized employment has allowed me to provide options or be creative in ways I never dreamed possible. And I can really count the successes.
I'm Jen Wah. I work with Coleman Professional Services. I supervise a VRP3 program, which is a public-private partnership that works with RSC. I really like the supported employment model for working with people with mental illness. I think it's helpful and it adds supports. And we have a pretty good success rate with it. And so to me, the customized employment is an enhancement. I like the idea of really looking at the person and what will be a good fit. People who work in customized employment kind of need to believe in it and buy into it and think that it's really going to work, so that they can stay engaged and be creative with the people they're working with. My coordinators, again, I probably have half and half buy-in. Some think it's great and they've already referred people to vendors to utilize customized employment, and some aren't so sold on the idea. Interestingly, the more enthusiasm is in the county where there is supported employment, so I think that it wasn't such a far reach for them to think about it.
My name is Marcia Owens. I'm a vocational rehabilitation counselor here in the Cleveland area. What I like about customized employment is, from the Griffin and Hammis standpoint, is during the exploration stage and you're growing your team, you have involvement of the family members and other people that know that person. When I first came to Rehabilitation Services Commission, to me, I felt like I was a fairy godmother and I had to be the person, the person is referred to you, they sit in front of your desk or they sit at that table with you and you can help them find a job. You know what career is best for them. It's that whole, you're the expert and you know exactly what that person can do. With customized employment, what I really like about it and how I would sell it to vendors is that you're not by yourself.
Okay, I'm Fred Collins. If you want me to compare traditional job placement with customized employment, I think the difference is that traditional job placement is working from the job market to the consumer, trying to plug the consumer into the job market by looking at job openings and finding those that would be appropriate to the person's abilities and limitations. So it's starting with the job market and plugging the consumer in somewhere. Customized employment is working from the consumer, drawing out what are that individual's abilities, amplifying those, and then projecting them out into the community so that a job is created or employment is created from that consumer. So it's just a difference in where your starting point is. Well, I think you have to have a conversation among the troops in the field that are doing the job, because they all work rather autonomously. When the CRP vendor goes back to his office, he's there by himself figuring out what to do. And same with the counselor, and when the consumer goes home, they're making their own decisions. So you can't really control what's happened. It's got to be developed by a conversation that happens among all of the parties so that each person who is involved can see how this can work in order to achieve whatever goal is desired. And, instead of superimposing a model on people, I think that you have to be creative, you have to be flexible, and you have to let people come to a realization, a self-realization of how this can work with what I'm already doing. Yeah, I've referred two people, two consumers, to customized employment, to a vendor who was trained in the process, and so that I had confidence that that person would be able to carry it out the way it's designed. But I have to say that I made that referral because I thought that individual, that person who was the vendor, had the personality and the background in order to exercise the drive, the motivation, the flexibility, and the creativity in working with the consumer and the employer in the community, with the family also.
My name is Kathy Bricker, and I'm a vocational rehab counselor. So I was not familiar with it, but I come from a mental health background, and I was very familiar with supported employment and the research that was done out of supported employment. So I guess coming into customized employment helped understand and help me grasp a little easier some of the ideas behind supported employment were tough for me as well, that anyone can work with a severe mental illness and a substance abuse problem while they're actively symptomatic. I had a real hard time with that. Not as hard a time, though, when we talked about people who could not be served, who we had traditionally said, we've provided all the services we can rehabilitation-wise, and unfortunately, we don't think you're going to benefit from those services. I think there needs to be at least some desire to get out of our comfort zones. And to do that means a lot of communication, a lot of education, and a lot of role modeling. I think that the staff within the agency struggled a lot with the model when it first came about. And gradually, the staff have been so-called buying in and making referrals, which is pretty exciting. What we don't have is the community buying in. We need to do a lot more when it comes to building that social capital, and a lot more with building it with community employers, not just providers who have been traditionally providing services to individuals.